Hey everybody, welcome to another Age of Sigmar battle report for 2nd edition. It's actually been a little bit of time since I did one of these, and I figured with 3rd edition kind of coming around the corner, I'd try to get another one or maybe 2 of these done here. So it's actually been probably about 2 years since I did a battle report here, and I actually have a link to my last one, which was the Khorne versus Stormcast 1000-point one. But if you watch that one, I was actually really happy with how that one turned out and everything, but it was a huge nightmare and a huge pain for me as well as my computer to actually edit after the fact. It ended up being like an hour long, but it probably took me a little bit longer than that to actually record it, of course, but then 3 or 4 times as long to actually edit it. And it really does a number on my computer because I got like a GoPro in there, the 4K camera's going, and it's just like, my computer's all bogged down and slowed down. So what you're gonna see here is a little bit of like an experiment as well. So I tried to get a process down where I can record easier and definitely edit easier. And I think I'm really super close to doing that. So again, this is a little bit of an experiment. And so I'm gonna ask at the end of the video here, sort of post battle report, for a little bit of specific feedback if you care enough to watch it through, or at least watch some of it and give me some feedback. I will say that there is a slight sort of strange issue in the first turn. So this is Ogors versus Flesheater courts, and I'll explain kind of the scenario setup when I jump into the battle report. But Flesheaters got the first turn, and then the Ogors got the second turn of the first round. The angles and stuff are like a little bit odd in a few spots up until the first turn of the Ogre. So I'll put a timestamp there if you don't want to put up with any of that. Not much super happens on the Flesheater turn anyway. They cast like Mystic Shield and summoned a Courtier, basically. Spoilers. So I did fix that. I caught that during the recording. Also, the sound is a little bit funky. I actually fixed it in post. I've already gone through and edited it. So you're going to see it's like a little bit different than what you're hearing now, because the setup for the whole thing is a lot different than what I'm actually recording this on. So I'm aware of the sound kind of being a little bit off. I think it's certainly listenable, but I would just, if you normally listen to my videos at a specific volume, just go 1 or 2 notches down just to kind of shave off some of those high notes. Anyway, so just a little caveat there. And also, I'm a little bit rusty. I actually had to redo a whole phase one time because I was like, this is not how this works at all. Because it's been about 2 years since I actually have played Age of Sigmar. We've been in lockdown for 1.5 years, and I've been a few months before everything kind of went to where it's going to. Before that, since I'd played. So I was super rusty. And but I gotta say, I actually decided to bring in my first 2 armies that I ever made and play them, which I've not actually showed these 2 armies on the channel. The Ogres was basically my first army that I played way back in 1st edition and hadn't really played it since 1st edition. And then the Flesheater courts, which has been was kind of my main army that I played during 2nd edition, at least like at tournaments and at the shop and stuff like that. So it was good to kind of get these out and sort of an ode to 2nd edition going out the door, play some of my original armies. So the paint jobs are going to be kind of all over the place. But it was cool because it kind of reminded me of like why I like these armies and why I like this game so much. And again, part of this experimentation is to get to the point where I can focus on the game and less on the technical and mechanical details of making the footage and recording everything, and let the game kind of have breathe a little bit more life and stuff. But again, I'll have a couple of timestamps if you want to skip to certain spots, and then I'll talk a little bit more about how it all turns out afterwards, and then maybe ask you for some specific feedback for my next one. So enjoy. Okay, like I said in the intro, we're going to be playing 2,000 points of Ogors. These are using the Blood Gullet tribe. We can zoom in here on the general here, and that is the Butcher. And he is my general, and he's a big caster guy. He's got a couple of extra spells. And then here on the right-hand side of him, we have some group of 9 Ogre Gluttons, and then you can't really see, but behind them is a group of 20 Noblars, which are very weak and ineffective. But they filled up some points, and they're good for holding objectives. Zoom out a little bit more. Here we have some Thunder Tusk Beast Riders. That's a big mammoth unit, and it has a good ranged attack, at least until it takes some damage. So there is a fair bit of shooting in this army. So if we pan over here, we have here a Huskard on Thunder Tusk. He's a character. He also has some same shooting. There's also some healing that will come out of the 2 mammoths. And then he's flanked by 2 groups of 4 iron guts on the side there. And then over here behind some terrain, we have a group of 8 lead belchers, which you might be able to see from this table view. And yeah, you can kind of see them here buried kind of on the side there. So that is the about 2,000 points of Ogor Mawtribes. Before I show you the Flesheater cults, we'll kind of pan out a little bit here. You can see here, we're going to have 6 objectives here. I've used these little markers here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over here a couple of candles, 5, 6. So the interesting thing about this is at the end of your turn, I believe it's turn or is it battle round? It is turn. Then each player will score 1 point for each objective. But starting in the second battle round, the player that actually goes second in that round or in future rounds can remove 1 objective of their choice if they so wish. So that's a little bit of a different thing. The other thing to keep in mind here is you'll see there's a little bit of shaved off edge here on the table, like I mentioned in the introduction. And that is basically I've shrunk this to the speculated size of table that's going to be coming in 3rd edition. Same size that we would play a 2,000 point game of 40K in. Just to kind of get a little bit of a feel for that, and maybe this is pointless, but I figured let's do it. I did adjust some of the deployment areas and the objectives and things like that to kind of balance out. But right away you can see this is a very tight objective, or tight table, and I added a bunch of terrain in here because I like a lot of terrain. So jumping down to Flesheater course, we'll just kind of work down the side here. So this is a Blisterkin tribe. It's not a tribe, but a Blisterkin allegiance. Here we're going to have 3 units of 20 crypt ghouls. A couple here crypt flares. These are flying. They have a little bit of a shooting attack, not too much. And then we have here, we have the charnel throne here, and I did mention, or forgot to mention over here, we have the maw pot. You can see the butcher next to that. So popping back over to the Flesheater courts, we've got the abhorrent archregent, a ghoul king, another group of ghouls. If we twist it over here just a little bit, we've got a abhorrent ghoul king on Terrorgeist. His wing there is kind of covering up another group, the 3rd battle line unit of crypt ghouls, and then we got another unit of flayers. I do have some other units and courtiers and leaders off to the side that these leaders here will be able to summon and get out onto the board. I'm not sure when they'll do that, but we'll figure that out. And there are a couple of endless spells that will come into play as well. Anyway, so that's kind of the setup. The Ogors got done deploying first, and I decided to have the Ogors give the first turn to the Flesheater courts. So first thing we're going to do here with this guy's our general. I forgot to mention that. He's got the Hellish Orator command trait. So one of the things he can do is at the start of each battle round or each of his turns on a 4+, then we will get an extra command point when we failed there. So no big deal. I think the next thing we're going to have this guy do is actually cast Mystic Shield on the crypt ghouls that are in front of him there. This takes a 5. So that's going to be an 8. That passes. And then he's far enough away from the butcher that he can't unbind that. So we'll go ahead and put a little bit of a token here on these guys here, and these guys are going to have a Mystic Shield. Whoops. I'm not going to do any more summons or casting, but I am going to have these guys run up, and they're probably going to take some shots there from the lead belchers over there. So as those guys run up, they're probably going to get jacked up a little bit. Now it is worth noting that all of the Blisterkin Flesheater courts have a +2 movement to their movement speed when you take that allegiance. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of move everybody up, and then I'll kind of explain it. Okay, you can see everybody's moved up here. These couple of units right down here, they ran up. These flayers got in cover in case the iron or the lead belchers shoot at them, which they will. These guys here have Mystic Shield. They are going to take a little bit of shots on the next round or the next turn. We have here the Ghoul King here on Terrorgeist. He's kind of hidden here behind the trees. We'll switch to the other camera here. See the Ghoul King here. These guys also advanced and ran up and surrounded this objective. They might take some damage here, but what we're going to do here is at the end of the movement phase, we have here tucked behind there our Airborne Archregent as well as our Ghoul King. He's going to use his command ability to summon here a Vargolf Courtier, which is the best courtier, and you've got to put him 6 inches within the battlefield edge. It normally costs you a command point, but he's next to the throne, so that's not going to cost him a command point. And so we're going to measure out here 6 inches from the battlefield. He's going to be wholly within. Pop it down there a little bit. that is there. So he is right here. And this Courtier here has the ability to sort of resummon dead serfs. So we've got here the crypt ghouls here are going to take some damage, but he can also try to summon back flayers and so on. Now I do have the ability to summon some crypt horrors, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to wait. So also we have the other flayers advance up. They're kind of in cover there. Crypt ghouls over there, and then these guys got a very good advance roll over there. They're right on the kind of battlefield edge there. These are the crypt flayers, and they might try to do a little bit of a flanking there on the gluttons if they don't get their face smashed in. So that's going to just be the end of turn 1 for Flesheater Courts, and they're going to score 1, 2, and then finally 3 points for their objectives. So the first thing we're going to do is have the Butcher there try to cast a Balewind Vortex. Now he gets +1 to his casting there, so all he needs is a 5 to cast that. So he's got himself a 5, but it could be unbound. Let me just do a quick measure there. Yep, he is in range, so the, let's call the Arc Regent will try to unbind that. And then he only got a 3 there, so that's not an unbind. So we're going to pop the Vortex for him, which will give him extra range on his spells and whatnot. So got his spell up there. He's a little taller than he used to be. I had to move the little tusk there from the Thunder Tusk Beast Riders to get the spell under there. So now he's got some range on his abilities, and he's got a big old target on his back because he basically becomes one whole model with the Vortex there. So now he, next to this Maw Pot, he's got +1 to his cast, and he's got an extra 6 inches on his spell. So I think what he's going to try to do is he's got a good line of sight down over here to this group of ghouls over there. So this theoretically could do a fair bit of damage. Now normally you need a 7, but he needs a 6. So he didn't get it there. That's a 3. So not unlike the Blisterkin Court here, the underbellies here, they have an additional 2-inch movement if they are more than 3 inches from any models, enemy models. So they always have that, actually, no matter what allegiance it is. So now we're going to start to move these suckers up, and we'll probably have a little bit of charging and combat and whatnot. Okay, so we got the camera fixed there. We're going to have 8 of these lead belchers pump D3 shots each into the ghouls. So do D3 times 8. So these hit on 4s and wound on 3s. So this will be wounding on 3s. There we go. So we got 6 wounds, and those are -1 rend. Now these guys have a 6-up save, but we have Mystic Shield, so that will let us do re-rolling 1s on the saves. So we're going to save that, and didn't come into use there. So we did save 1. We're going to lose 5 of them there. So we'll just kind of peel 5 off the back here. Keep them aside there for Battle Shock. Now next up is the Huskard on Thunder Tusk. He does have a decent line of sight there to the Terrorgeist. He's a deadly attack, and he's just going to jump all the shots into him, actually. So what happens with this guy is you're going to roll 12 dice, and then for each 6, that's going to be a mortal wound. So 12 dice there. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 mortal wounds. I'm just going to take him down to 10 hit points. And he's going to dump the rest of his shots into him. Actually, I don't know. I should have checked the range there. The Chain Trap, if he's got range to hit. No, he doesn't have range to him on Chain Trap. So I'm just going to say he dumps some in there. But first we'll do the Harpoon Launcher here. And that hits on 4, wounds on 3, does D3 damage. So that's a miss. And then he's going to dump the... Oh, I'm stupid. He doesn't have a Chain Trap. He's got a Vulture. My bad. I forgot I put him with the Vulture. So he does have the other one. Will go into him. So I'm just going to roll a die on a 2+. He takes a mortal wound. Of course. That's what I get for forgetting how I equipped the unit. So he misses that out. So he did enough damage to him to do a decent amount. Next to the shooting phase, we got all the same attacks from the Thunder Tusk Beast Riders going into the Noblars. Now you're going to roll 12 dice here, but instead of 6s, I just need 4s because this is a unit of 20. So if it's a unit of 10, you need 5s. If it's a unit of 20 or more, you just need 4s. So 4s, and we're going to do mortal wounds. Okay. Actually, not really that good. So 3 mortal wounds there to start. Harpoon Launcher again, 4s. Nope. And then finally the Vulture on a 2-up. That was going to do 1 extra wound. So we're going to do 4 mortal wounds, which will kill off 4 of these crypt ghouls. We'll just take these out here. Then I'm going to measure these nobblers. They do have a range attack, but they are all outside of 8 inches there, so they don't have enough range to get the little rocks and sticks that they throw off. So that is all of the ranged combat for the ogres, and now we're going to go and do some charging. So back over to this side of the table, I think we're going to leave these guys over here just to hold this objective over there, and then we'll have a little bit of a shooting contest here a little bit. And they want to kind of stay away from the terror guys, which is down there, as much as they can. Allow possibly this beast to interact with it, because he's already done some damage to it. So anyway, these guys are going to kind of hang back a little bit. Now we're going to do some other charges here. So the first thing we're going to look at over here is we have here the Huskard. He's doing pretty good. We want to keep him healthy so he can do that effective ice attack and keep us kind of ranged off. So we're going to keep him hanging back. These guys here are capping that objective. So we're just going to have these guys here charge into these ghouls. Let's see. Let's measure that off. So we got to make a 9 on the charge here. So we're going to do a 9. There we go. We got an 11. So let me move these guys in here really quickly. So we'll move these guys up and we'll pile them in once combat gets going. Next here we've got these Noblars there. They also need a 9-inch charge. They got an 8-inch charge. I could do a command point to re-roll that, but I am actually not, because they're gonna. Let's just have them hang back there, cap that objective. I think what I'm going to do now is have the Thundertusk Beast Riders here kind of charge up and start to engage this scrum over here. Let's take a measure of his distance. He's also got a 9-inch charge, so let's go ahead and do that one. And maybe we will re-roll that. Well, that's a 7. So I'm going to go ahead and spend one of their command points there and do another roll. And that's even worse. That's a 4. Okay, I don't know what he's afraid of. And next we're going to have these gluttons here charge in there. Let's do a little measure there. That is going to be, let's call that a 5-inch charge there. So we need a 5. That's a 6, just enough. So let me get them engaged. So we've got them engaged there so they can start to do a pile-in. So we've got here, let's see, just 2 combats here. So we've got the gluttons here, and then over across the other side of the table we get the iron guts into them. I'm less afraid, well, let me think a minute here. Now the flayers are not too shabby, but the ghouls, once they kind of have their full strength, which they do, so if we pop back over here, these guys all get 2 attacks per model, but if they have 20 or more models in there, they get an extra attack, so it'll be 3 attacks. That's a lot more attacks. So let's do them first, and then we'll jump back, and then the Flesheater guy will go, and then we'll go back and forth. So first we're going to pile in, so let's pile in here real quickly. So we've got 4 of them, which will be 12 attacks plus the 1 for the leader, so that's 13 attacks on 3s. 3s to hit, 3s to wound. And these are all -1 rend, and I'm realizing I forgot the -1 rend on the previous attack by the lead belchers, no big deal. But these are each 3 damage, so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 damage on those crypt ghouls. So that is going to just absolutely decimate that unit. So now we're down to basically 2 models here. Now we still have the Gulping Bite here, which we can roll off. See if they can finish them off here. So Gulping Bite gets 3s and 3s. So we got 3 of them, so 3s to wound. Just 1. That actually gets a save. So that's a 6-up save. So it's going to go down to 1 model, which is totally going to fail Battle Shock. So we'll clear those away except for this guy. And I knew there was a reason I brought this Courtier back in, but I didn't think it would be that bad. So forget how hard the Iron Guts hit. Okay, so that's that combat there. Now, so, I mean, you could attack back with this if you're the Flesheater Court player, but that's worthless. So let's jump over here, and we'll get these flayers to pile in like so. Like that. And then these guys will attack that group of gluttons there. So these guys get 12 attacks. Plus the 1 for the leader is 13. And then so the hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, but any 6 hits is a mortal wound. So we're looking for 6s there. So we got 3 mortal wounds. So we got 3 mortal wounds coming at you. And that's in addition to the other hits. So we're going to look at wounding on 3s. Okay, wound on 3s. Clear these out. So those 3s and those -1 rend. That takes them to a 6-up save. They saved 1, so they got 5 wounds coming at them. So that's enough to remove 1 in the back here, and then take another one down to 3 wounds there. But now we're going to pile these guys in. So they got in like so. I think they have just 4 guys in range of attacking there. Let's have a look. No, actually just 3 guys in combat. So we got 3 attacks. So no, we just got 3 in there. So we're going to get 3s and 3s. No rend 2 damage. Let's see. There's 3s. A couple of more 3s. So that's 5. No rend 2 damage. Flair's got a 5-up save. No saves. That's 2 damage apiece. That's 10. So that is going to take these 2 out here. Leave this other guy here with 2 wounds on him like so. So this fellow's going to get off an attack. So 2 dice, 4s and 4s. Oh, there's 2 4s. Both of those. That's 1 damage each. No rends. That's a 4-up save. Oh, saved them on both. Oh, and you know what? I forgot to roll my little charge ogre thingy. Let's just say I failed, just so we know here. So when you charge in and you roll a die for each unit, if you get a 6, didn't get it, then you're going to do D3 wounds there. Same with the flares, didn't get it. I completely forgot the charge bonus of the ogres here. So you will roll a number of dice equal to the charge distance that they moved, or the charge dice that they rolled. This guy's at 11, so I'm going to roll 11 dice here and try to get a mortal wound. I'm just going to pop this. I know it's a little takesy-backsy. So he didn't end up wounding him back anyway. The other guys over here, they moved 6 inches, so we can do that. This will probably matter. So roll any 6s is a mortal wound. So we got 1 there. So this guy over here, he's actually down to 1 wound. So that will kind of matter a little bit there. So let's do battle shock here. So if we roll a 6 for the ogres, then they will have to lose 1 more guy. Oh, this got a 1. The flares have 10 bravery, so they don't matter. These guys are wiped out. These guys weren't touched. Over here, these guys here, they lost 5 models there. So they have a bravery 10 also. So if they roll a 6, they'll also lose 1 model. And they only rolled a 2 there. Now that is the battle shock phase and the end of round 1. Now these guys here have 1, 2, 3 points as well. So we can see 3 to 3, and then we're going to go to battle round 2. We're going to have a little bit of a roll off here. So ogres in blue, death in white. So death gets that. Death is totally going to take the turn, but I did forget to mention that these guys here don't need to take battle shock. We had 4 guys lost. Again, bravery 10, no big deal. But death is totally going to take the round. So now it's up to the ogres to choose if they want to remove any of the objectives. And I think actually we're going to have them remove this objective here. This will come off the board. They probably have the least chance of getting that one anytime soon. And we have some range kind of going over here with the lead belchers as well as the Huskard over there. And so they do want to kind of hang back a little bit. So there's no reason to just cede that victory point to the Flesheater player. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to roll a 4-up for our Hellish Order. Nope. So we don't get an additional command point, but we do have 3 command points to spend here with our Flesheater folks. And as I did that, I realized the ogre should have got an extra victory point there, so I'm going to give them another victory point. So that's actually 4 to 3 in favor of the ogres. So now I'm trying to figure out what to do with this guy here, because he probably should engage the Iron Guts, but based on their previous round. But we're going to get a chance to cast Feeding Frenzy in this case, so I think we're going to be in pretty good shape. So we're going to cast on ourselves, this guy. We're going to do Unholy Vitality, and that's a casting roll of a 6. So we got it. That's a 7. So I'm pretty sure this guy is in the range to unbind it. He certainly is. So let's see if he unbinds that. So he did not. That's a 3. So now he has basically a 5-up, whatever it's called, invulnerable shield thing. So we're just going to put that on there. Now over here, you can kind of see him here behind this throne there. This fella is going to cast his ferocious hunger on this guy. So that is a casting roll of a 6. So we're going to do that there. So he does get that off. So now we're going to roll a d3. We're going to add that amount to his number of attacks. So we just got a 1 there. So he's going to get extra attacks when he hopefully eats those iron guts for lunch. Now our Ghoul King is going to cast this similar spell over their Black Hunger on the Flayers. That's a 5-up. So he's got that. That's just going to add a straight 1 to their attack rolls there. So we're going to add these guys on there because maybe they'll also get into some combat. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to roll the regenerative ability of this guy. So we roll 6 dice. Now we would normally want to regenerate some more of the Crypt Ghouls on a 2+, but we can also regenerate some of the Flayers that died earlier on a 5-up. So we got one of these back here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the movement phase here for the Flesheater Courts with a good camera view this time. So there's no reason to have anybody down here because this is basically a worthless point of interest right now. So we're going to move everybody up here. We'll get this guy. He's actually probably, I think I bumped him within 3. Yeah, I did. So I'm just going to put him right there. There we go. So he's just outside 3 there. And then we'll move everybody up and then away we go. Okay, so we finished moving for Flesheater Courts. Not a whole lot of movement really here. These guys did fly up here because they got flying. They're on just outside 3. They're going to engage them in melee. Same here with what's left of these ghouls here to try to contest this objective. Because again, this space down here is pointless. As I said before, the Terror guy's going to try to engage there. I left the casters down here alone. At the end of the movement phase, we'll plop some stuff out. I'll show that in a second here. I left the courtier back here for reasons, and we basically flew the Flayers through there. Left the ghouls there. I could have moved them up, but I kind of feel like these Flayers are in a bit of jeopardy here, so I don't want to leave this objective right here just kind of completely open for the Gluttons to walk in. I could have moved these guys up here to deal with the Noblars, because there's quite a body count up here, 20 Noblars. The big behemoths, they count as 10 when considering, contesting a control for the objective. So that's a little bit tricky here. But I did fly those Flayers up there just to try to engage this guy and whittle him down. We'll see. The 2 mammoths here haven't been touched yet, but there's still some time. Now, we've already used the summon ability of the Archregent, but now we're going to use the Ghoul King as well as the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist. Now, this guy here can bring in 10 ghouls, and then this guy over here could bring in, basically I'm going to bring in 3 horrors. So we're going to do both of those now. It's only going to cost me 1 command point because this guy here is next to the Eternal Throne, so it's not going to cost me a command point to do that. Now, the ghouls we're going to pop way over here in this corner, just outside 9 inches from those Noblars there. So you can have a look there. Those guys are just outside 9. We're going to try to get them a charge in and hopefully peel off some of those bodies of those Noblars. Now this fella here is going to bring in some horrors, and we're going to stick those right just outside 9 of this fella here and try to harass him a little bit. All right, you can see them there on that table edge. Again, they're going to try to come in and harass here. Maybe they can meet their buddy down here. If everything goes well for the Terrorgeist, kind of squeeze them in here. All of these guys aren't really that super good. So now we're going to go into shooting phase. These guys are going to finally get to use some of their screams and their little bit of shooting that they have. So they're going to scream here at the lead belchers. So the way this is, we're going to roll 2d6, but because we're just outside 3, we're going to subtract 2. So 2d6. That's not too bad. 10 minus 2 is 8. And then you're going to subtract the bravery and then do that many mortal wounds. So these guys here have a bravery of 6. So 10 minus 2 is 8. So 8 minus 2 is 6. So we're going to do 2 mortal wounds on one of these fellas. And just for fun, we're going to stick it here on this guy right there. And we're going to do the same right here, but we will not subtract 2. And they also have a bravery of 6. So 2d6, that's 8. Minus 6 bravery, so that's going to be also 2 mortal wounds on them. And they, I believe, have somebody that is damaged. Yep, there's a fella here behind the tree, and he's going to go down to 1 wound like that. Now for the important one, and it works a little differently with this guy. So we're going to add 6. Oh no, he's taking some damage actually. He is taking 4 damage. So we're going to add 5 to a d6. And then these guys have bravery 7. So 5 plus 4 is 9 minus 7. So that's going to be 2 mortal wounds. So at least we got some damage on these guys. And these guys have 4 wounds as well. So this guy here is going to be down to 2 wounds, like so. So that is shooting. Now we're going to go ahead and do our charges. First, we're going to try to get our 3-up charge from the flayers over here. So that's an 11. So that's more than enough. We'll just kind of pile these guys in back here. They're good to go. These guys are just outside 3. So that's 8. So let me get these in. So I'll pile these guys in around here. Next we have the Terror guy. He's also 3. So that's a 8 as well. So he's good to go. So we're just going to turn him a little bit there. Put him right in there. Now we have the Horrors coming in here. They're a 9-inch charge. So let's see if they can get in. Exactly 9. That's good for a command point situation. So we'll get these guys moved up. So they've moved up there. So they'll be able to pile in. Now same situation here. We got a 3-inch charge for these flayers there. Although I did not screen for them. So I got to do that. I forgot they were there. They're hiding behind this house here. So them. 2d6 outside 3. So minus 2. Let's do that real super quick. So that is not going to do anything anyway because I forgot. Now let's roll our charge. That is a 4, just enough. So interesting tidbit. These flayers now are within 3 inches of those Noblars. I wonder if that rule will change in 3rd edition, if they'll make it like 40k where you have to beat the whole thing. I think I rolled enough anyway, but I would have had to have declared both units like I do in 40k. I think in 3rd edition that's going to happen. That's kind of the rumor. But notwithstanding, let's go over here to these ghouls over here in the corner, and they also have a 9-inch charge on those Noblars. They got a 4. I could spend a command trait. A command point, I mean. I don't think I want to actually waste that just yet because I have other things I want to use those for. So these guys are just going to camp out over there eating whatever lunch they brought to work today. So combat, obviously we're going to choose this guy first. Let me get these out so I can remind myself that he does get his 5/6 up in vuln and his +1 on melee attacks there. Oh, and I realized I didn't heal D3 wounds, which might have made a little difference on something, but that's all right. So we're going to actually heal 2 wounds of his. Totally forgot about that. Like I said, I am rusty as heck. So instead of 10 wounds, he's now up to 12, which would have maybe affected a mortal wound there. I don't think it did on his scream because of the table. So there we go. Okay, we'll start with the easy one here. We're going to do his Talons and Fangs. That's 5 attacks. 3s to hit, 3s to wound. So 3s to wound. Okay, that's 1. Now that's going to be a Ren -1. So that's going to take that Iron Gut to a 5-up save. Doesn't get it. That's only 1 damage. Yep. So this guy's going to go down to 1 hit point there. It's going to keep track of it here. And next one is Skeletal Claws. Now he has taken, let's see, just 2 wounds of damage. So he's still going to get his 4 attacks on his claws. So we'll do the 4. And these are on 4s. Hey, there's that. And then we're going to do wounding on 3s. 2 wounds. Again, -1, so these are 5-up saves. Doesn't get them. Now these do D3 damage. So there's your 5 damage there. So that's going to peel this guy off and this guy off. So these 2 are down. Exactly. And now we have the big one here, the Fanged Maw. I may not even have to do the Feeding Frenzy. Maybe I do it on somebody else. Fanged tit for tat, right? You take my unit, I take yours. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. So Fanged Maw, this is we want 6s on. Any 6s? Oh, 2 6s. And then that does, what does that do? That kills it. Because each of these 6s here will do 6 mortal wounds right like that. So there you go. There you go. Good job. I stacked that up, and I wasn't even rolling the extra attack. I was not even rolling the extra attack that I cast on him anyway, but it did the trick. So let's have a peek here. What should the ogre player do? You've got here the lead belchers. They're pretty well surrounded over there. They might want to take a chunk out of those ghouls, or they want to take a chunk out of the flares. I don't think I'm too worried about the ghouls because they've lost some models there. The flares can do some damage. But then we have to look over here, and we have here these flares that you can see right there fighting our beast riders there. So you might want to just take a swipe at those, or we also have the gluttons here. Now they're fighting kind of a diminished unit there. The one guy's almost dead. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I want to keep this guy up and keep his hit points full. So let's get a better shot of that. So these guys, punches and kicks, 6 attacks, 4s and 4s. Let's see, we got 2 there, 4s. So that's 1. That's no rend. That's your 5-up save. So that's going to be 1 damage. Just track that here. Then we're going to do our colossal tusks. Now these guys are not great. They are not stone horns. So 3s. Okay, so we got 3 there. The wound here is 2s, so that's good. And that's all these. And the -1 rend, so they'll take them to 6-up saves, and these are D3 damage. 6-up, nothing. And then D3 damage on all these. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's going to pop one of these, and then take the other one to 1 hit point. So we did whittle them down there, that's good. So the flares there, well, you'd think they're safe, but the Gnoblars there could pile in and get, they could get some lickings in, but I think we do want to do that because we want to get them off on, gosh, I don't know, that's a tough call, because it's possible the Gnoblars could get some hit points in there, get some lucky rolls, bring them down so they don't have a chance to do some hits and bring the mammoth down. I don't think I'm going to worry about that, though. I think we're going to take that shot with that because not many of them are going to be able to pile in. There's not a lot of room there to pile in. These guys are kind of done for. I don't know, but those gluttons will just roam around the board smashing stuff if we don't do anything to them. But we've got a lot more lead belters over there. And we're going to get some. This is a tough call here. This is a tough call. I tell you what we're going to do. We are going to, we're going to activate these flares here. Just like so. Do 4 attacks plus the leader. 4s. Let's see. 3s and then -1. Okay. So that's 4 -1. Take them to a 6-up save. Got 1, so that's 3. What is that? That's just 1 damage, so 3 damage. That's enough to just kill this one off here in the back. Yeah, not a super great call there, but we're gonna live with that call there because really, how much damage would I have been doing to these guys? So now we're gonna go back to the ogre player. These guys are definitely safe here. Now the Gnoblars could come over there, but I think we need to activate these lead belchers. Actually, there's a couple of situations here. We should activate this guy in response because we had the same logic here with this guy keeping that beast rider there hiding behind those trees in good shape. We should keep our Huskard here and just pile him right in. Yeah, we got to do that. I think we got to keep him up and high because then the more damage he can do with his shooting, the better. So he's just going to kind of pile in like this, get him fighting. So he's going to get his punches and kicks, 3s to hit. 2 hits, 4s to wound, 1 wound, no rend. It's a 5-up save. They do make the save. Next we're going to do 4 attacks here, 3s, gets all of them. And this is going to be 2s to wound because he hasn't been wounded. Got all those, so -1 rend. So that takes it to a 6-up. Nothing. Then it's going to be D3 damage again here. So 3, 6, 8, 9. So that's actually going to take out 2 of those and then leave 1 with 3 wounds left. So let's just peel these 2 off the back there, and then we'll throw a little 3 wound action there. So that was actually a good call in that case. Now next up here are the flayers. They're going to go ahead and jump on those lead belchers. They can do a little bit of piling in here. This is to make it legal. So again, 4s and 6s do mortal wounds here. I think I've been forgetting that. So there's 2 mortal wounds there. And then we're going to get these. That wasn't very good. And we'll get these out here. So 4s and 3s plus the 2 mortal wounds. So okay, there's that. And then these are -1 rend. So let's just take it to a 6-up save. So that's one of those out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That includes the mortal wound there. So that's going to take out 1 of them. This one guy, there was a guy injured back there. Yep, actually going to take out 2 of them. This guy was kind of injured. I think these guys are just going to pile in backwards here. Back to these guys. So first we're going to do 2 into the ghouls and then 4 into the flayers. So let's do the 2 into the ghouls. 3s. Okay, and then 3s. Okay, so this is -1 rend. Does 2 damage. So they don't have a save, so that's 2 of them gone. And then we're going to do the bites. 3s. 3s. 6-up save. 1, so that's 1 more. And then we got an extra one here. 3s and 3s into the flayers with the extra attack. 3s there. 3s to wound. Oops. And these are -1 rend. That'll take them to a 6-up save. So 2 damage, 2, 4, 6, 8. So that will take 2 of them out right there. And then we still have the bites. Let's see, 4 bites, 3 up. There, 3 up. 2, and that's a 5-up save. None of those, so that'd be 2 damage on him. So he will be at 2 health left. And let's just pile these ghouls in a little bit there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Into them. So they get 2 attacks each. So 4s to hit, 4s to wound. 4s to wound. Okay, no rend. So 1 damage each. 5-up save. Whew, got 3 of them. So that will take this guy down to hit point, and that's it. So let me pile in these Noblars here, give them a little shot to attack there. Alright, so we got 5 of them inside there. And I gotta see, is the groin biter in there? He's not in. I did not pile the groin biter in. He's the leader. But one thing I did forget with them is on a 6-up, anybody that charges within 3 inches of them, nothing. Well, you get a mortal wound there. Or D3 mortal wounds. But since they have more than 10 models, they actually get an extra attack. So these are 5s, though. Not very good. We'll see. Now that I say it out loud, they did pretty decent. And 5s to wound, and it's just 1 damage, no rend. 1, and then the 5-up save. Oh, did 1 damage to them. And that is enough to pluck this guy out of thin air there. So this one guy is the last attack of the round. He's going to do, or the turn, he's going to 4-up. On a 6, though, it becomes a 2 damage. That's the one they hit. And a 3-up wound. Got the wound and no rend. This is a 4-up save. Got the save. Now that is combat. Now one thing I did not do was feeding frenzy. I probably should have, but I didn't really see anything that was super great. I'll tell you what I could do here is I could have did feeding frenzy with these ghouls there. Sorry, I'm kind of juggling both sides. I think what I will do is I will activate that. I will use, well, are they within, oh yeah, they're in range of the general here. You can see the terror guys there. So actually they're going to roll again, do some extra attacks there. So a little takesy-backsy, but it does not really affect any decision-making or anything that would have happened there. But I will spend the command point there. And so we're going to jump back here to 12 attacks, 2, 4. So we're going to do 4s. 4s and 4s. And a 5-up save, yep. So 3 of those. That's another damage, so that's going to kill this guy and take this guy down to 2. That would have been a waste of a command point, but whatever. We might battle shock him though. We'll see what happens with that. So speaking of battle shock, let's see. It's not going to matter for the ghouls or the flayers. Now the lead belchers have a bravery of 6, and they lost 3 guys. So let's see. 3 plus 4, 7. Like I said, this guy's going to disappear as well. So that wasn't too bad of a... Yeah, it made the difference. Really, it did, didn't it? Now they're down to 4 guys instead of their... Basically cut the unit in half. Let's see. Moving down the board there. It's not going to matter for these ghouls. No battle shock's going to do anything there, so I'll pull these guys off. Flares here again, doesn't matter. Now we're going to swing over here. We did lose 1 ogre there. Again, bravery of 6. So we're good on a 4. So we are actually going to score 3 points. So we've got here massive bodies over there, so we're going to take that from the ogre. So 1, 2, because this guy's within 6. And then we got this other one down here, 3. Definitely the ogres still have 2 objectives there. So that's going to get 3 more points. That's going to take these guys to 6. So we'll put them 6 to 4. We're going to go to turn 2 of round 2 for the ogres there. So this fella here, he has another Maw he wants to cast. The Voracious Maw is normally a 7. We only need a 6. Who's he going to target there? He could target a whole bunch of people. He might get it unbound though. Who does he want to hit? The flare seems like overkill hidden behind that house there. We've got these ghouls here on that side. A bunch of ghouls in the corner there. I don't think he's got range down here to our general. He may with his little bonus. What's the range on Maw? Let's see. 18 plus 6. It's 24. No. It's just outside. I'm not going to let him do that. Just barely outside. His nose is in range, but the base is not. Someone say he's not. He's out of range. What else could he do? I think he's just going to lay it into... You know what? Let's lay it into these ghouls here, like we did before. Because the ghouls are there. They're kind of holding that objective. We should be able to take care of the flares and come in and grab that objective. Yeah. So we're going to throw a Maw into them. So again, we only need a 6 now. So that is a 5. So it's a mute point anyway. And there's not a ton of movement that really you can do with the ogre player, because these guys over here, those gluttons you can see there, they're engaged. We move over here. The Gnoblars are engaged there. This we don't want the butcher. Butcher's fine right where he is. We want the Beast Riders are engaged. Now these Iron Guts, you can see right here, these guys are not engaged with anybody. They are holding the objective, which, not really that important. What we should do, we should get these Iron Guts here trying to engage with the Terrorgeist. So I think that is the only movement that we have, just to kind of scan the board. He's engaged, they're engaged. So they're just going to move up. They do have the +2 movement, so they can move up to 8. And then we'll have somewhat of a perimeter around this anyway, because we got the 2 mammoths on either side. So let me move them up and get them within kind of a charge range there. Okay, let's take a look at what their charge is going to be. They have a 6-inch charge. Whoops. But that is a movement done. Now we got to do shooting phase. So let's just work our way left to right here. So we got 4 lead busters in there. We're not worried about the flare. We're going to dump all our shots into these ghouls because those are bodies. We need to get rid of them. These lead busters have not moved, so instead of D3 gunshots, they get D6. So we've got 4 of them. We're going to go ahead and do D6. So 6, 7, 8, 11. So on 4s and then 3s. And 3s to wound. Okay, and these are, what are these, 2 damage? Oh, -1, 1 damage. So that'll take them to no save. So that'll peel off 3 of them. So a little bit of shooting there. Okay, so next shooting is this guy. I'd love to shoot into him, but he is engaged, and so you cannot shoot anybody that you're outside of engagement. So he's going to dump a bunch of shots in there, probably clear out him from the board. Yeah, I don't feel like not even rolling this. The guy has 3 hit points here. So let's just do the, well, you know what we can do? We can send the vulture down here, like so, because that's like it's not really like a shooting attack, just a shooting face thing. So again, we have, let's see, 2 up. Oh, we didn't even get the vulture. Let's do the other guy's vulture because there's another one on the board. Okay, he did get one. That would be a mortal wound, but remember this guy has a 5/6 up invuln for right now. It fails that, so he does take a damage there. So it'll take him down to 11 hit points. He's going to dump the rest of his shots here. All right, let me roll the 12. So 6s, 1, 2. So he'll be at 1 hit point. And then we're going to do the harpoon launcher. So 4s and then 3s. Say 4s, 3s. Is there a rend? There's no rend, so he does get his 5-up save. Nothing, D3, he'll be dead. Theoretically, if he was in range, which, let's see, is he in range of this guy to charge? No. Nope. Just outside 12. Not from him, but from the charge distance. So similar idea here, him fighting one mob. That's a full health mob. He already used his vulture. So we're going to do on 6s, one mortal wounds. Okay, so he got 3 more to go. And then he's got his, what do you call it, the harpoon launcher again? 4s and 3s. Just 1. He's not as good as the other one. 3s. Nothing. He's stinky. You guys are too busy drinking beer up there or something. Well, let's see. Not much in the way of charging. He's going to hang out right there. He's good where he is. He's going to let his little iron guts do their job. So we're going to try to get a charge in here. They need a 9. They got a 3. I will spend a command point to re-roll that. That will be useless. Okay, that's a problem for the ogres to fail that charge. So now we got to do a little bit of combat. The ogres are first, and I think the ogre, yeah, it's a no-brainer. We're going to go back here to these fellas. We're going to do some lead belcher on ghoul action. So it'll be 8 plus the 1, so 9 attacks. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. 3's to wound. All of them minus 1 rend, 2 damage each. So they can't even save, so that's going to clear out 8 of them. 2, and then they have the bites left. So the 4 bites. 3s and 3s. Oh, they missed them all. Too busy beating them on the head with a gun. So now we're going to go back to Flesheater. What the Flesheater? Flesheater just might as well give that one up, I guess. Well, they're safe anyway. So you got 2 options here. You got 1 Flesheater, all by his lonesome. Maybe do nothing. These guys here are what we want to do. We want to try to whittle down those gluttons a little bit. So we're going to get some attacks in with the flares. 6s are mortal wounds. Remember that. Well, there's one mortal wound. And then that's going to be 4s. So 3s. There's that. Minus 1 rend. So take him to a 6-up save. Got one of them. So we're going to have mortal wound plus 2 more. And that's not even going to remove one. We'll just pop a damage on the back here from that guy. So we're going to leave our gluttons alone there. They're okay. What are we going to do next here? Let's do the Huskard over there. Oh, excuse me, not the Huskard, the Thunder Tusk. On the flare, the single flare. 4s and 4s. There's a couple of these. One of those. That's going to be some rend, I think. No rend, just 1 damage on a 5-up. Saves it. Now we're going to do the tusks, 3s and 2s. 2s. Okay. This is the rend, so the 6-up save. Doesn't get it. We're going to do D3 damage. So it is dead. So just the last 2 combats over here. We'll just do the flares first while we're sitting here. So 4s again, 6s. More wounds. Nope, just the 1. 3s to wound. That is a wound. Minus 1 rend, 6-up save. Ren, so 1 damage there. And then the ghoul, what's the ghoul roll? Will die. 2 dice, 4s and 4s. There, 4s. 5 up save. Does a save. That's it. Pretty uneventful combat to... Actually, we don't have to do Battle Shock because more than 10 of them died. So this last one is going to go bye-bye. So that is 2 units of ghouls completely spoken for. So in this case, though, the ogres they're going to take back that point. They've got 1, 2, this one here. And zooming out a little bit, that gets this one at the far side there, that little candle that's behind that big tree thing. So they've got 3. So it's going to take them to 7. So we got 6 to 7 there, and then we're going to go into round 3. So it's actually, it seems like an ogre game right now, and I think it is, but the score is still close going into round 3. So let's roll off here for priority roll. So we got, again, white death and blue ogres. So the ogres get it this time. What will they do? I think the ogres might even go second here. I don't know though. I don't think so, because they want to take this guy out. This guy is still a threat to a certain degree, not a big extent, but he's still the threat. The rest of this stuff out here, there's nothing to worry about. Now we could summon back some stuff here with our courtier. We've summoned all the units that we can with our mages, but we could restore back. Here, let's look at it this way. So we could restore back some ghouls, hold that objective with those ghouls. We could restore back a flayer there. That's possible, and that'll just keep those ogre gluttons over there tied up. Which is, I think, the best that you can hope for is the Flesheater player at this point. All the other ghoul units and the flayers and everything have been wiped out. So we could do that. So what we could do as the ogre player, thinking about that, is if we go second, we could delete this objective. So those ghouls, yeah, I don't know. Because the ghouls will they'll just move up, right? They'll just try to move up and take that objective. We're not too worried about that because we got a bunch of Noblars we can throw at them. And we got a Huskard that hasn't been damaged at all. Or not Huskard, a Thundertusk Beast Rider. There are ghouls over there. But there's nothing to add to them because they're a full unit of 10. Not worried about too much of this. We can handle, once we pull these flayers out, this flare out, get out of that, we can just run these gluttons backwards. Probably. And see what we're doing here. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go first as the ogres, which will allow the flesh eaters to delete an objective. This is really kind of a conundrum in a way, because really there is some concern about this guy. He could do a decent amount of damage still. We don't want him going first, taking out these iron guts and dealing with that, because he could withstand shooting from one of these guys and basically gobble up one of those mammoths, this flesh eater guy. So we want to run these guts into him, get them up a little bit closer, get a charge off, really try to hammer this guy down, because these guts, as you can see, can do a ton of damage. And then that basically removes, if we remove him, we've removed all threat of losing the game, I think. Because these two mammoths are in great shape, right? So what we do though, so if the ogre player gives it to the flesh eater guy, then the flesh eater guy is going to delete this objective over here, because this one then becomes, these guys become worthless. We have a little bit of a choke point here with our ghouls and our flares. So we got them tied up. We might be able to bring some more back, like I said, with the, whoops, where is he? There he is, the courtier. So we're going to do that. So we're going to remove this objective right over here. Again, as the flesh eater player, they're taking that off because the ogres are going to go first. Yeah, the ogres got to take first in this case, because we don't want this guy summoning stuff back. We want to try to whittle these things down more. So the first thing we're going to do, obviously, is try to cast that maw again on those ghouls to try to just get them down. So again, it's normally a 7, but it's a 6 because he's next to the pot. So he got a 5. That maw does not want to go off. The next thing we want to do as the ogre player here is what we should do is probably run those Noblars back into those ghouls, get them tied up, run this guy up into these ghouls, because he's going to get an objective, and he counts as 10 bodies, and that's almost an even swap there, and he should be able to handle them a little bit better. So we're going to run them back. So let me do that, and then I'll think about the rest of the movement here. Yeah, okay, we'll work it back. We'll work it right to left this time. They're going to run up. Right, so we push them back that way. He's coming up here. He's going to try to get some shots off of them, pepper them down, make them not even worth to restore any models to. Over here, we've got here the Iron Guts. These guys are just going to get just outside of 3, like so. Alright, so they're going to get in charger in there, try to do some damage. This guy here, he's just going to kind of side saddle over this way, just to kind of act as a blocker. Okay, yeah, so I think that is the movement there. Let's just jump into shooting phase. Let's start with the important one right here. He's going to roll his 12 dice on 6s, and he has lost his unholy vitality as well. That's an important part. So we get 2 mortal wounds there. And actually, I should have in the hero phase here cast a prayer. Let's see if we get a prayer off. Okay, we did get that prayer off. So these are going to add +1 to these guys' wound rolls. We'll do this here. Now, I've been so focused on the healing prayer for them that I've just been ignoring the wound roll buff there. So he would definitely have done that. So that's definitely going to change some things there. Probably should have cast it earlier, but oh well. Let's do the harpoon launcher, 4s and 3s. Yeah, just the 1, 3s. Nothing. Okay, so that's the shooting there. We're going to do the vulture. We'll do both guys' vultures there. So 2+. That's a mortal wound. The other guy, another one mortal wound. So this guy's going to be down to 9. And we'll pop over to this side of the board. These guys are going to do D6 shots into the flare. So 12. Holy cow. I'm just going to pull him off the board. I don't care. He's coming off the board. Anyways, so that guy's gone. So now, see, the ogres have this objective pretty much on lock. Okay, so the other shooting, let's pop over to here. We're going to do our 12. So again, on 6s. Wait, they have 10 more. Yeah, they have more than 10 guys. So this will be on 5s. 1, 2, 3. So 3 mortal wounds there. Harpoon launcher. So 4s and 3s. Holy cow. 3s. Nothing. Okay. And we did his vulture. So now we're going to go into charge phases. He's outside of 3. Let's just roll his charge. There's 5. So we're just going to, again, side saddle him in there. Let's crush him with a tusk. Yep. And we're going to get these guys in. That's 11. So they got plenty. And they got the +1 on the wound rolls there coming with them. And that is all the charges. Let's see. Oh no, we still got these stupid Noblars over there. And these guys actually are about 4 inches out. So we got 4. So this is 7. So we'll get them in a minute. I don't really care about that combat. Let's go down to this combat because this will decide the game. So we got the Iron Guts going into this guy. He's got 9 wounds left. I think this is ball game regardless, but I'm going to roll this out for fun. So these guys are absolute beasts here. They do need 3s and 3s though. So we're going to do 3s and 3s. Oh, I need the extra. Do I have a leader in that one? Yeah, 3s and 3s. Extra attack. Okay, that's pretty deadly. These do 3 wounds. Oh, +1 was so 2s. 3s and 2s because the buffed ones. Of course, I got a couple of 1s in there, but good thing I got that extra one, I guess. Okay, so that is going to be Rend -1. It's going to take him to a 5-up save. 5-up save. These are 3 damage each. Okay, well, there you go. Not bad. That's 3 damage, 3, 6. He's dead anyway. So there you go. So that is taking this beast off the board. And that unit is fully intact and ready to wreak damage everywhere else in the world. So I think that is ball game. Let's kind of talk a little bit analysis here. So now, we do have a couple of casters here. They could get some damage off. Got some arcane bolts or something. You know, not too much. We've already did the summoning. Maybe a mistake was to summon those horrors way the heck over there and the boonies, which did nothing to this guy at all. But maybe keeping them back here to control his objective, counter charge, you know, maybe block these guys, absorb some damage, let the terror guys scream at it, delay this charge that we saw just happen a turn later. That could have been better, so we would have got the ability, because these guys likely would have eaten those horrors up, no question. But then the chance now for the Flesheater terror guys to bounce back at the bottom of turn 3. So that was a mistake here by me having them go over there. Because right now the way this is going to act is we're going to get 1, 2, 3, and then arguably 4. Let's do a quick measure here. Yep. And so that guy counts as 10. He's just got to whittle some of these down. They might, you know, whatever. These guys are going to be eaten up. There's a little bit of contest over here, but this side of the board here is a guaranteed 3 points, you know, kind of working its way down. Right now, 1, 2, 3, probably 4. That's going to put it at 11 there. So anyway, this is kind of an experimental battle report, like I said at the beginning. So I'm going to call it now. I think there's some chance. It looks better than it is because you've got here some ghouls. Great. You have 2 flares. One of them has a 1 hit point. Yeah. You've got nobblers here going to suck up those ghouls and probably just, you know, eat them up here. These guys have effectively been neutered now, like so. This guy might be able to bring some ghouls back. Oops, he's out of camera there. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call it because I think I'm pretty confident that ogres have this. But it might be a little bit closer than I'm giving it with the dice rolls, but anyway. Okay, so that was the battle report as you watched it. If you watched it, it ended in round 3. I do think I could have done some things differently. I talked a little bit about that at the end of the battle report in case you skipped it, in terms of some of the things that the Flesheater Courts player could have done. I think that would have alleviated some certain things. And I'm certainly, like I said at the beginning, very rusty, so you know I had to redo some things and stuff that hopefully no other mistakes made it through. I'm sure I forgot to roll a die or something somewhere for like a unit leader or something like that, but or cast a prayer, which I failed to do. It may be a key point for the Beast Claw, or not the Beast Claw, the Ogors player. So there's probably some things like that. So if you have any feedback in terms of, you know, how the thing was shot or put together, definitely open to hearing any feedback there. If you have any feedback in terms of like the gameplay or strategic choices and that kind of stuff, if it's polite, I will hear that. So yeah, so that's kind of the deal there. So definitely, though, I am open to feedback here. And to me, talking about the gameplay side of it, that's what these are really for, at least for me. When I watch a battle report, I like to see certain scenarios and situations. Like, okay, so this guy's here, this is there, the objective's there, this is the game situation. The player has these choices, you know, what are they and what are their options and what did they decide to do and why? And that's why I really enjoy watching battle reports as well as playing the game. And like I said at the beginning, I was super rusty, but this, again, I got a chance to play this and I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly why I love this game. Because just all of the little crunchiness of the objectives and the different synergies of each of the different armies and all that kind of stuff. So this has been really a good breath of fresh air for me to actually get this to the table and hopefully get to the shop maybe next month and play some actual games and stuff like that. So I definitely want to do more of these, and I definitely will take any feedback and try to get better, because this, at the end of the day, I've already edited the main part of this and it was much easier to edit, like amazingly easier. And I think there's a couple of small things I can do technically during the recording to make it even better in terms of like how it's presented to you. One thing that I know I did wrong was I had the dice tray kind of up a little bit too often, and I didn't really need it up as often. I wasn't really being mindful of that. But I've got a little kind of switcher thing here on my phone that makes it easier to kind of flip camera angles, like write it live as I'm recording, so I can kind of hopefully internalize a lot of that stuff and make it so that I'm always presenting like a neat angle or something and keeping the dice off the screen altogether, or at least off to the side, so it's not just like dice in your face the whole time. So I'm going to try to learn through that and definitely do one more, and then hopefully a couple more at least when 3rd edition drops. But I do also want to ask you, like, kind of an informal poll. If you're still watching, then maybe you can have some input on this. I showed you Flesheater, Courts, and Ogors now, and that was great. But I have 9 armies that I could show you. And I've showed you most of these already on the channel. But confession, during lockdown in the last 18 months, I have 3 new armies, in addition to the 6 that I've had for a while. So I could show Stormcast, which I've showed you before. There'll be links to some of these playlists and other battle reports below, like I said. So Stormcast, Ogors, Night Haunt, Iron Jaws, Flesh Eaters, and Khorne, which you've all seen if you go to these other, if you've watched the other videos, you've seen all this stuff. Then the 3 new armies are Tzeentch and Idoneth Deepkin, and then, well, Legions of Asgore, quote unquote, which I could play them as Legions of Asgore, but then I will have to play some gimped version of one of my other armies. So it's a fair fight. But what I can do, what I really want to do, is I picked up the Cities of Sigmar book, and I can run them as like a Greywater Fastness dispossessed type army, because they're dead ringers for Longbeards and Iron Drakes and steam tanks and their artillery and stuff. So if I throw out the Centaurs, I can basically run a Cities of Sigmar armor, and it actually painted up some Liberators and Stormcast units in that same scheme that I did my Legion of Asgore, or let's call them the Dark City Dwarves. And so I could do like a Cities of Sigmar thing with that too. So if you wanted to see that as well, but you know, throw them out there, and I'll try to play them up here. Just be warned, if I play the Asgore Cities, Idoneth Deepkin or Tzeentch army, I'm probably just going to make a complete buffoon of myself, because I haven't actually played those at all on the table. Like I said, I've just been painting them up during lockdown, and I won't play Change Host. So if you pick Tzeentch, you know, I won't play Change Host, because that's going to disappear anyway, and nobody really wants to watch that. Well, maybe you do. If enough people say play Change Host, I'll think about it. But anyway, that's the battle report, and hopefully any feedback, and I appreciate it. And have a good day. Thanks.